Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Great show for you lined up today. Let's see how we did on yesterday's recap screen. Is it another winning recap screen? Yes, it is. We go 3-2. I'll tell you what, we were 5 seconds away from 4-1 as that Alcorn State first half team total falls just short by the hook. But we'll take 3-2. Shout out to A-Mags, who jumps onto the show and hits Dominican Republic over 9.5 runs. Shout out to Larry Hartstein as well. Mikey B goes 2 for 2. And Mike McClure is in the chat. Let's bring in the stars of the show. That includes all of you in the chat, of course. Giuseppe Maricino, Ryan is in here, Scott Edwards. We got buckets, Tom Casale, Propstarz, Jeff Hochman. We've got so much to talk about, including a little bit of PGA, a lot of NBA, college basketball, some SportsLine picks as well. We're going to take your questions here on Talkback Tuesday. But Propstarz, I have a question for you that has nothing to do with the Tuesday slate. A ton happening in NFL free agency. Open-ended question here. Your reaction.
Yeah, first off, I love that we're covering the NFL at this stage of the offseason, though, but it's been absolutely fascinating thus far, seeing free agency. I look at a team like the Chiefs, haven't gotten a lot better. I love the addition of Kenneth Walker to that backfield for Kansas City, so that looks really good. Seeing a team like the Raiders be ultra aggressive, spending a lot of cap room. They're working hard on improving that defense. Despite Max Crosby having left, which I thought they got pretty great compensation, all things considered. But they look to be a team certainly pointed in the right direction. And even a team like the Miami Dolphins is very interesting. I think they're fully committed to the rebuild. If you're going to rebuild, you have to go all the way and really tear things down from zero. So I like what the Dolphins are doing here as well.
All right. A lot going on. If you've got any comments or reactions to NFL free agency, put it in the chat, put it in the YouTube comments. Zach Kasanke says, good morning, Buckets. What's that on your microphone?
This is a little Mickey Mouse soccer figure that Mike McClure sent me in the mail a few months ago for good luck. And now he's sitting on the mic. See, real quick.
Yeah.
Ooh. If you'll give me a moment, you know that I hate to disrupt your flow. It's not really my thing, but can I address an elephant in the room real quick?
Sure.
All right, give me 10 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay. Jeff Hochman, what do we have to? We got hockey today, right?
Yeah, we got hockey. A lot of day action with college basketball. Nothing really stood out for me, but yeah, I'm stealing a little system strategy from Tom and EC with a parlay.
And as we're waiting for buckets, Tom Casale, we are in the throes of conference championship season. We got the big conferences starting. We got the little conferences starting. And what is that, Buckets?
Sia, 3 weeks ago, you came on a show and made the statement that guinea pigs aren't real pets and you shouldn't waste your time on them. So I wanted to see if you still had the same opinion while I'm watching Pony Boy here for my girlfriend while she's traveling. Will you tell Pony Boy that he's not a pet?
Okay, first of all, that's not a guinea pig. That's a lion. Why is that thing so gigantic?
I don't know. Oh, it just peed on me. He just peed on me. Can you quick address the allegations? See us.
You're a real pet. Move along now.
Thank
you. Tom Casale, talk to me about conference championships. Do we have college basketball from you today?
Yeah, real pets are dogs. If you want a pet, go get a dog. You don't need a snake. You don't need a guinea pig. You don't need a rabbit. Get a dog.
True.
Yeah, it's all week this week, as you know, conference tournaments leading up to March Madness. So it's always a fun week. I always say, listen, I love March Madness. That's, I block off 4 days for March Madness, but I actually want to, in the flow of the games, I kind of like this week even better because it starts right away and you got games every single day throughout the day. So it's a fun week.
All right. I think we should get started with some picks. Larry Hartstein also in the chat. That thing is not a pet. By the way, Propstarz, I know you took some offense to Tom's statement there. I know you have Goose and company, so we can address that at a later time. Buckets, hopefully you are okay here. Michael Horr says boots on the ground at the Big 12 tournament here in Kansas City. Go ahead, Buckets.
With the boots on the ground?
Are you are you here?
I was off camera. I had to go put the piggies back in their
I thought you
playpen.
raised your hand that you had something to say.
I'm out of breath because I had to run to the kitchen and back.
All right. Well, you know who's not out of breath is Jeff Hochman. Jeff Hochman, kick us off with some hockey. You've got a couple of favorites that you like so much you kind of paired them together for a plus money parlay.
Yeah, thanks, Sia. I'm on Carolina and Tampa Bay, both on the money line. It makes it plus 110, which I think is a really good price. And these two teams are in very similar spots. So we have the Hurricanes coming off a loss. They're 11-3-3 following a loss this season. The Penguins will be playing their third game in 4 days. Never easy, right? Carolina's 5-0, outscoring opponents 20-10 when they play a team in a 3-4 situation. The matchup is also a revenge game for the Hurricanes. They lost 5-1 in Pittsburgh earlier this season, December to be exact. Carolina's 10-1-1 in same season revenge games this season. They're also 10-5 playing with 2 days of rest. The Hurricanes lead the league in shot differential plus 494. Only Colorado is over plus 400 in the NHL this season. I'm expecting a strong performance at home where they are 23-8-2. Second leg of the parlay, Tampa Bay Lightning. They're 0-2 against the Blue Jackets this season. Can't believe that, including an 8-5 loss on January 24th. This setup benefits the home team. The Lightning are 12-3-2 in same season revenge games this season. The Lightning are coming off an 8-7 loss in Buffalo on Sunday, where they allowed a season high 42 shots on goal. To be fair, the loss came on the second night of a back-to-back in Toronto. The Lightning should bounce back. They're 16-4-3 following a loss this season. Columbus has not defeated Tampa Bay 3 straight times since 2017, and they're coming off a overtime home loss on Monday. Now they travel to Florida to face a motivated Tampa Bay squad. I think this sets up really well for Carolina, Tampa Bay to get the job done at home. The parlay pays 110.
All right, we've got a Carolina Hurricanes money line plus Tampa Bay Lightning money line plus 110 parlay. The chat there's so many random references always in the chat. Propstars, this will get your attention. MP Sefton, I think that's how you say your name, says, I saw Mike Bibby at my bar after Sacramento State crashed out of the Big Sky tourney. Proppy, before you give out your NBA pick, which you can do right now, I feel like a fun game is like calling out a point guard or a guard in the NBA that not a lot of people talk about. I feel like Mike Bibby would fit that description of a guy that was really good, but like everybody has forgotten.
I would agree. That was a great Kings team as well. One of the better teams in the Shaq and Kobe era, arguably. Should have beat them, but yeah, shout out to that Kings team. Doug Christie, Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, Peja Stojakovic. Quite the starting five right there. And sticking with the hoops here, let's go to the modern NBA, Sia. And I'm going to fade Dyson Daniels, one of my favorite players in the league. Going to go under 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Dyson Daniels really had a true breakout season last year, won the most improved player, led the NBA in steals by a significant margin, was a total menace on the court. He's been good this year, but it hasn't been quite the same production. His scoring is down as well, despite playing huge minutes for this Hawks team. But yeah, 24.5 PRA is just a big number for Dyson Daniels. To his credit, has eclipsed this in 4 consecutive games, which is why this line is a little bit inflated. However, he's shooting 70% over that 4-game sample. That's not sustainable. Dyson Daniels is a pretty streaky scorer. Then you couple that with the fact, if you look at this Hawks roster right now, they have a deep rotation and they're playing quite a few high usage players. So yeah, I just don't necessarily know that the shot volume is going to continue to be there for Dyson Daniels to sustain a line this high for him. Also, couple that with the fact that the Atlanta Hawks are 8.5-point favorites versus the Dallas at home tonight. So there's some blowout potential here as well. So just think it's a good spot to fade Dyson Daniels under 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And this is a great 11-game NBA slate. I think I'll have some additional picks as the day progresses up on SportsLine.
And we'll have some answers to any questions you have in the chat as well. Speaking of questions now, Buckets and Tom, we haven't gotten to your official picks yet, but we do have some questions. Buckets, I'll start with you. From Steve Folkerts, Bayern money line plus both teams to scores plus 185. Your thoughts?
Steve Folkerts, I really like this bet, but as I have not given up my picks yet, I'm going to not tell you why I like it yet. Wink, wink.
Teaser. Kylie Reynolds. Let's see. Tom Casale, he says, hey, Tom, Syracuse plus 5.5. SMU sucks. Well, I think you could make the argument that Syracuse sucks, but either way, what do you think of this 5.5 point spread, Tom? And then, Jeff, if you have anything on this, please feel free to hand up.
Yeah, well, Kylie must not know my association with Syracuse. So I'm a Syracuse fan, and I joked in the Discord they were 6.5 point favorite over Pitt in the last game, and I joked that when I first saw the line, I thought they were playing a scrimmage against a local middle school. That's how bad Syracuse is right now. I get it, man. SMU hasn't been playing well, but being close to Syracuse, maybe I'm being influenced here, but there's a lot of issues going on in that program, and you've seen it towards the end of the season. I think the coach is gone. It's a little high, the line. I just can't bet Syracuse. I would lean more towards an over or an SMU team total over in that game, to be honest. That way you don't have to mess with the line.
Yeah, SMU team total seems like an appropriate play. Jeff, anything on that game?
Yeah, my model had it at 4.5 last night. Is it really up to 5.5 now?
I think it might have been 4.5 yesterday, the actual line.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
That's crazy because both teams don't play any defense, and I just hate laying points with teams that don't really want to play defense.
Yeah.
I would lean SMU first half. Consider that one.
Interesting. All right. Well,
Yes.
we've got a bunch of MGM odds boosts you can consider, both in college basketball and in the NBA today. Boost your college basketball bet today with BetMGM. Just make a wager on any of the college basketball tournament games today to activate the token to have your your odds boosted. Also, BetMGM players will receive an NBA odds boost. Just make any NBA bet to activate the token. If you win, you'll receive extra winnings in unrestricted bonus dollars. Let's go back to college basketball with some SportsLine picks. One from Chip Patterson. I think he's got a couple up on the site, including one I really like that I'm going to ask Tom about in a few minutes. Northwestern -6, -110. That again from Chip Patterson. And then we go to Micah Roberts, Cincinnati, -10.5 at -110. All right, we got to come back with Buckets picks. We got to come back with Tom Casale's picks. We're going to do that and your questions right after this message from our partners.
This is why we do this every March.
Major slam! It is a basketball party. It's March. Expect the unexpected.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Here's the SportsLine question, courtesy of Ben. Did you ever own a fish, guinea pig, snake growing up? Yes, 42%. No, 58%. Buckets, your response.
I feel like throwing fish in there was a mistake because I think probably out of that 41%,
Yeah.
38 of them are fish because everyone had a fish growing up. So
Yeah.
I thank you for the poll, Ben, but I feel like it's a little skewed, anti-guinea pig propaganda there.
Yeah, I feel like you could have taken because goldfish was like a thing for so many people. Yeah. If it were guinea pig, snake, or like ferret, that type of maybe iguana. I know people who had iguanas. Would that be like 15% or less, you think, Buckets?
I'd put the over or under at like 16.5%. Yeah, somewhere around there.
All right. Tom, did you ever have one of these growing up?
Oh, I had a fish, but and
Yes,
that's and Proppy. Listen, cat is an acceptable pet. I am just not a cat guy because I don't like things jumping at my head. Both my kids want a cat, and I just say, listen, when I was younger, I used to lay on the couch and the cat would jump at my head. So yes, dog and cat are both acceptable pets. I went dog because that's what I have. But yeah, I agree with you. I think fish. Here's what gets me. A few weeks ago, I see somebody walking down the street with a pig with a collar and a leash, and that's nonsense. It's a pig. You know what I mean? Like that's where I get a little annoyed.
I've never seen that before. Go ahead, Rob.
Defensive pigs, they're highly intelligent animals and very sensitive as well. So I agree, Tom, for the majority that a lot of these are not pets, but I think pigs actually can be a rare exception.
Jeff Hochman.
Yeah, I had a fish, but don't people have more than one fish? Because when it dies, the parents just replace the fish and you think it's the same fish.
It was always the same fish, Jeff. Why? Like, you want to tell me about Christmas too and Santa Claus? Like, why are you breaking everybody's heart?
Always the same. That's right, Sia. My bad.
All right, let's get to some more picks. Buckets, you know what? Let's go to Tom's pick first. And then, because I have a little bit of a discussion on one of those two money line parlay pieces. And then, Buckets, we'll get to your 3-pack of soccer picks. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, Jeff, I can tell you as a dad right now, owning a fish is the biggest scam on earth. You should see all the stuff I got to buy. I got to buy this. I got to buy plant. I got to buy plant food. I said to my wife, we used to just get a bowl and then fill it up with sink water and throw the fish in. So I'm spending hundreds of dollars so we can replace a fish every 3 weeks. All right, going into the picks. Oh, and here's a guard that didn't quite make the NBA. I had a prediction that he would be a multi-NBA All-Star. He was not. Sia, you might remember him. Shamgod.
I put him in the chat. Tom, I
okay.
put him in the chat 5 minutes ago. I can't believe of all the guards, that's who you referenced. That's amazing.
That's
I remember Shamgod, of course.
Yeah, well, I loved him during the NCAA tournament, and a buddy of mine said, this guy's never going to make the NBA. He can't shoot. But I think I was up money, and I was like, I'll bet you right now $100 this guy's a multi-NBA All-Star. I don't think he ever got the $100, but you get where I'm going. So tonight, listen, my games that I like are more Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. So I put together a parlay tonight with a team, Virginia Tech, and then Kentucky tomorrow. These are two teams I like to win. I gave it out at plus 39 on the site. You look at Virginia Tech; they have suffered a ton of close losses. Out of their 10 ACC losses, 6 are by 4 points or fewer. I think they believe they're a tournament team. Those are the type of teams I like going into this first game, or teams that still are playing for something. Wake Forest hasn't been as great away from home. So while this is a 2.5-point line, I went with the money line, and then I teamed them with Kentucky, a team I don't necessarily like and don't think they'll last long in the SEC tournament. But I like their first-round draw against LSU, dealing with a bunch of injuries throughout the year. They really only have one scorer in McMahon. So I don't think it's a team that can really hurt Kentucky that badly. I know it was a 1-point game way back when, but that's when LSU had players. So I think those two teams win. And another game I'll give you, because this game came out later in the night before I sent everything in. So I don't bet the Big Sky much because of the variance. So I bet it once all season. Eastern Washington is 9-1 in their last 10 games. Guess the one I bet. They lost to Idaho 85-81 at home when the game was tied with a minute and a half to go. And I'm not kidding you. Idaho hit 4 straight threes in a minute and a half. Idaho hit 4 straight threes. So 9-1, last 10. This spread's pretty much close to even. I think Eastern Washington gets them this time tonight. I think Eastern Washington's going to win this tournament. After a slow start, they've really started playing well. So you can get that at about -1.5 if you're interested.
Two quick things. Some breaking news regarding Duke starting point guard Caleb Foster. Before we get to that, I just want to stick with Virginia Tech just for a second, Tom. -2.5. I really like Tech in this spot. How about you? I mean, obviously you like the money line, but tell me about the actual spread.
Yeah, no, I was really looking at it. Their best player hurt his leg last game, Amani Hansberry, and I think that's why we haven't seen any line movement. You can't get any injury information. The coach said he's doing good. We're hoping he's going to play. He had a limited practice. So that was the reason why I stayed away from the 2.5. If I knew he was going to play, I probably would have laid it. But we're probably not going to know if he's going to play until, 30 minutes before the game.
Okay, well, we know Caleb Foster is out for the duration of the season. Duke starting point guard, according to Dylan Barakat, says Caleb Foster suffered a fractured foot, and I'm reading that he just had surgery on it on Sunday. Tom, your reaction to that?
Yeah, it's big. I would say in college basketball, which is a lot different than the NBA, the one person you don't want to lose before a tournament is the ball handler, is the guy who's running the offense. Because most teams don't have a ton of those guys. You saw Michigan lose their backup point guard, and they struggle with turnovers. So that's something now you look at with two top teams. one lost their main ball handler and the other one lost their backup point guard, and that's all they have. They only have one guy who can Michigan who can run the offense. So I think that's an issue now for both of those teams moving forward.
All right, let's move on to soccer. We got a lot of questions to answer as well. Buckets, you're usually leading us off. Now I've got to pick two, so you're not exactly at the end here. But talk to me about, you've got a 3-pack of soccer picks.
I got a 3-pack of soccer plays for the Champions League fixtures taking place this afternoon, which of course you can be watching over on Paramount Plus, doing that because Chip normally does that, but trying to, fill in. 3 big games here this afternoon. Actually, we have 4 big games, but 3 big bets for us. And we're starting with this matchup as Galatasaray of the Turkish Super League will host Liverpool. And it's an important reminder to everyone. These are 2-leg competitions, which means each matchup, you play 1 game at home and 1 on the road. Whoever has the total highest amount of goals will advance and qualify for the next round. I say that because when Liverpool traveled to Rams Park to take on Turkey, their goal is not to win here. Their goal is to keep this as close as they can. So in that second leg, they can come back home to Anfield, come back to England in front of their supporters, their fans, and have a big second leg where they blow this out of the water. That is why I think this line is disrespectful. Galatasaray double chance, so Gala to win or draw is even money right now. Welcome to hell is their slogan for teams that travel to play at Rams Park. This is a team that does so good at home, and then on the road, not really so much here. But I'm expecting a close-fought game, and I'm expecting Galatasaray to at least be level at the end of this first leg with the talent they have playing at home. Second match, we go to Newcastle versus Barcelona. This is one of the ties that is a bit more up in the air. A lot of the matchups we have in the round of 16, like Arsenal, Leverkusen, Bayern, Atalanta, are pretty big favorites, but this one could go either way. With that being said, I just think Lamine Yamal is too good right now for anybody to mess with. I'm on Barcelona over 1.5 team total at -125. It's a little bit of juice here, and I know that this is Newcastle at home under the European lights at St. James's Park. I just don't care. Newcastle this season have been awful defensively. Their last 3 home games saw them concede 2 to Qarabag, 3 to Brentford, and 3 to Everton. So playing at home, which is usually a big deal for them, just doesn't seem to matter right now. And Barcelona under Hansi Flick plays such a dangerously high line. This is a team that can score 2 or 3 against anyone, and I think they're going to kill this tie in the first leg. Third and final bet, Atalanta, the last remaining light, the hope beacon for Serie A, takes on Bayern Munich, and boy, are they in trouble. This Atalanta team defensively does not have what it takes, even at home in a 2-legged competition, to stop Bayern Munich from scoring. That front 3 of Harry Kane, Luis Diaz, and Michael Olise are probably the best attacking trio in the entirety of European football right now, so I love goals in this fixture. Both teams to score in over 2.5 at -120. I don't hate Steve Folkert's bet of both teams to score moneyline Bayern if you wanted +180, a different way to take it, but Atalanta know they have to make something happen at home. They're going to press for goals. They're going to concede at least 2 here. This is the game to where if we saw a 5-2 kind of scoreline at the end, I'm not shocked here by any means.
All right, we got 3 picks from Buckets. Prop Stars, we got some questions in the chat. Booker over 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I'd lean over on that. I like that quite a bit. Devin Booker's been playing very good basketball, obviously a high usage player as well. Looks to be a competitive game environment versus the Bucks here. That's a look I like.
All right, let's see. Let me see on Tom, thoughts on Gonzaga -7.5 and Siena +3.5.
The Siena game, I think, is going to be a close game. Merrimack's the best team in that conference. I think Siena matches up well with them. The Gonzaga lines, I think so. I like them in this spot, but 7.5. I always take the underdog there. That's one of those where I would actually like Gonzaga and a money line parlay, and I would like the spread with taking the 7.5. I just think that number is too high. I would make it closer to 4.5 or 5.5, to be honest with you.
Jeff, do you have any reaction to either of those two or Baylor -2.5 against Arizona State? A lot of people asking about Arizona State today.
Yeah, the Gonzaga line is way too high. I would have it at 4.5, so I would lean to St. Mary's there. Which was the other game, Sia?
Baylor, Arizona State, 2.5.
Baylor, Arizona State, Baylor. I lean Baylor at -2.5. Absolutely. My model makes it 4.
Wow. Tom, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I tell you, I don't like when the coach is fired right. I go the opposite way. I think those kids love Hurley. To be completely honest with you, I think Arizona. I think he's one of those ones. If the coach is somebody the kids hate, I try to stay away from that situation. I think there's too many variables to try to win at betting anyway. And then you throw in, we just announced that the coach is leaving at the end of the year. I mean, think about it. How many times have we seen in the last few years a coach, well, he's gone at the end of the year. We saw with Long Beach State. Remember, then they won the tournament, and they ended up going to the NCAA. I don't think Arizona State's going to win the tournament, but I would expect a pretty good effort out of them. I originally leaned Baylor in that game, though.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Rick Funcannon was asking Tom about a conference championship bet that he likes. One that I was looking at and would like Tom's thoughts on it as well was St. John's. They're plus 170 to win the Big East tournament. UConn is like right around even money. I don't think the difference in these two teams should be that much of a spread there. Like St. John's beat UConn in the first game, right? They ended their 17-game winning streak, and then UConn got revenge in the second matchup. I think they won by 32 points, and it's at Madison Square Garden, right? And St. John's won the Big East tournament last year. They got snubbed 2 years ago and didn't make the big dance. Of course, they're going to make the big dance this year, but I would lean St. John's at plus 170. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, no, I like that play because if there's one conference tournament where I can tell you what the final is going to be, that's the one. They might as well play that game tomorrow. There's no other team in the Big East going to compete with those two. And I think where you're seeing this is because of how St. John's lost. Missed their last 24 shots or whatever it was, got blown out. But at the end of the day, a loss is a loss. It doesn't really, I mean, St. John's dominated them in the first game, pulled away. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's what you're looking at is the ugliness of that loss concerns people, but you're going to get that on a neutral court. I think that's going to be a razor tight game. I agree. I think the odds should be a little closer.
Yeah. Mike McClure in the chat says Kansas to win the Big 12 at plus 850 is solid value. It's a home game for the Jayhawks, he says. One more in buckets, then we have a question from Snug the Cat, then we'll get to the recap screen. I'll give out my pick as well very quickly. But Akron to win the Mid-Atlantic, that seems like it's in that minus 110, minus 120 range, somewhere in between. I feel like Akron, especially we're talking neutral court here, is just better than Miami of Ohio. Their path seems to be pretty easy. Your thoughts there?
Listen, I feel like sometimes you get these teams who haven't lost either all year or in a while, and it almost looks like they're begging to lose, like they're dying to lose a game, right? Like you can see it's coming. And I mean, Ohio had it all; it was all there for them. The guy, missed a shot at the end. It went into overtime, and when it went into overtime, you knew Miami was going to win that game. I think Akron is the better team. I think Akron has had this potential game circled for a long, long time. And I'm going to go this far. I think Akron blows them out. Yeah. I don't think the game's close. I think they're going to beat them by double digits.
So do you think them winning the Mid-Atlantic at around minus 115, do you think that's a good enough number to bet or no?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They're not Michigan. You know what I mean? Enough. Like yesterday, you could have got better odds on Michigan. So I might just wait for the championship game and bet that.
Yeah. Propstars, go ahead.
I've been thinking about underrated point guards since you brought up Mike Bibby. I have three names for you: Rod Strickland, Andre Miller, Kevin Johnson, three of the most underrated point guards of the past couple of decades.
Yeah, nobody talks about those guys. I put Rod Strickland in. I literally put two names in the chat, which you guys didn't see. It was God Shamgod and Rod Strickland. And you guys happen to pick two of those names, which is unbelievable. Put your favorite, underrated guard in the chat. Buckets, what are your thoughts on Atletico Madrid over 1.5 team total at minus 115?
Thank you. I thought you were going to ask me my favorite guard, and I don't. I can't name one, so that's great for me. Snug the Cat, it's a very interesting question because this line last night, I wanted to play it. It was minus 160, and you're right. This is down to minus 110 on some sports books, which is crazy line movement overnight, especially considering there's been no injuries that have been announced for Atletico Madrid. What we might be seeing is that Romero and Van de Ven are both back defensively for Spurs, so maybe books are thinking it's going to be a bit of a tighter back line, and they're going to try to keep this more of a cagey 1-0 kind of game. I think it's great value. If this was minus 15 yesterday, it would have been one of my bets for today. And it's something that I'm going to take now as well here.
Somebody in the chat mentioned Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, who I guess was also Chris Jackson. Reminds me of Khalid El-Amin, the UConn guard. He did have a stint in the NBA, right, everybody? I'm pretty sure. Gilbert Arenas being mentioned. He still gets talked about because he's in media, but yeah, that's certainly an underrated guy, at least when he was in his prime. Buckets, go ahead.
I saw this in the chat. It said, I'm looking to fade. I read it as I'm looking to fade Buckets. No MPJ. MPJ is really good. Any thoughts? And my brain turned off because I couldn't figure out who MPJ is. But what do you guys think about fading the Bucks? That might make a little more sense in the basketball world.
Proppy.
What about fading the Bucks? I'm looking at fading the Bucks. No, Michael Porter Jr. I don't know what the number is, so sorry.
Yeah, see, Buckets, this is why you don't play.
I
play
know,
host. You know? This is
let's say the number's 8. 8. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's very good.
That's probably what it's around.
Buckets would love Muggsy Bogues, says Danny Brasco. Brandon Roy, who of course had to retire early because of those injuries for the Trailblazers. He was a great player as well. My play, I'm going to be really quick here because the full analysis is going to be on the early wedge tonight at 7 o'clock. But last week I backed Colin Morikawa in pretty much every way possible. And outside of the outright itself, every other ticket cashed. We're going to do it again. This one's over at DK. It's round 1, 18-hole matchups. It's not in the typical matchup section. You got to find round 1, 18-hole matchups. And you'll find Colin Morikawa minus 122 over Russell Henley. Again, I'm going back to the guy that I think is playing better golf. Mike McClure talked about it yesterday as well. Better golf than most people on the PGA Tour. If you're not named Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy, Colin's playing better than you. So Russell Henley's been a little off with the approach play in particular. He's going to be just fine at this course. He's not going to have a bad tournament, but I don't think he's going to have the tournament that Colin Morikawa is going to have. Good chance Colin Morikawa is one of my first-round leaders. More on that on the early wedge tonight on this YouTube channel at 7 o'clock. But give me Colin Morikawa in a round 1, 18-hole matchup, minus 122 over Russell Henley. Pogo picks. He has a Morikawa face tattooed on his bicep. Well, that might be coming. Well, we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the recap screen and get everybody out of here. Try to get to a lot of your questions on Talkback Tuesday, but here are our official picks. Colin Morikawa minus 122 over Russell Henley, like I just discussed. Galatasaray versus Liverpool. Galatasaray double chance, even money. Newcastle versus Barcelona. Barcelona over 1.5 team total minus 125. And Atalanta versus Bayern. Both teams to score plus over 2.5 goals, minus 120. We go to the parlay world with Virginia Tech money line plus Kentucky money line plus 139. That one from Tom Casale, but he discussed a lot of other picks on this show along with Jeff Hochman. Jeff Hochman has an NHL parlay money line style, Carolina Hurricanes money line plus the Tampa Bay Lightning money line. That one plus 110. Propstarz Dyson Daniels under 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists at minus 114. Then we go to some SportsLine picks. We got a couple here. Northwestern -6, minus 110 from Chip Patterson. And Cincinnati -10.5, minus 110 from Micah Roberts. Monte Ellis. Monte Ellis. We all thought Monte Ellis was better than Steph Curry in the late 2000s. And by we all, I mean me. I still was not a believer in Steph Curry in the 2008, 2009 range. Monte Ellis was super fast. Baron Davis, another guard. We could do this all day. Put your guard in the YouTube comments. Thank you, Jeff Hochman. Thank you, Propstars. Thank you, Buckets. Thank you. What was the Buckets? What was the lion's name, the dog's name that you held up?
The Pony Boy, or PB for short.
I mean, why would that be a pet's name?
The Outsiders.
Oh, that's on me.
Oh, yeah, Sia didn't get a pop culture reference. How embarrassing, Sia.
Well, first of all, you've never even heard of The Outsiders.
I have no idea what it's from.
Okay, please. Thank you, Tom Casale. Thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. And thank you, Ron Moore, for saying that you appreciate us and you appreciate this show. Be the positivity you want to see. You woke up. That's a blessing to start, says Cleveland Clown. Yeah, stay positive, everybody. Eric Snow. Wow. That is a deep cut from Brasco. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow, or we'll see you tonight on the early wedge at 7 o'clock. Either way, have a great day. Stay positive, and we rest our case.